Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Lyon, and I'm super excited today to be talking to you about creative financing. One of the most awesome ways to make some serious money and really get ahead in the real estate game is learning and utilizing the correct ways to do creative financing. Now, I know we're all about wholesaling and things like that, and a lot of people think that wholesaling is the belt and creative financing is just a tool. But in reality, creative financing is the whole belt. Wholesaling is just one part of the true opportunity that is out there to make money in real estate. The beautiful thing about this, and what I can't wait to see the outcome, is all of our students and all of our people talking about in the groups and things like that about the houses and the properties that they were able to obtain using subject twos, creative financing, seller financing, and many other amazing opportunities that are out there that we're going to be able to teach you. So what I want to do is basically give you a good foundation for how this all works, how we're going to be teaching you, what we're going to be going over, and just show you the correct way to obtain rental properties and get houses for little to no money using all of our creative financing techniques the correct way so that you can start to build generational wealth and change your life by finding opportunities out there that most other investors might just be sleeping on or might just bypass. See, a lot of wholesalers out there will only have one option when they're talking to a seller, and that option is a super low ball cash offer. Whereas what we're now going to be teaching you is how to essentially create your own financing rules where you can either have the seller become the bank, which is seller financing, where you can take over the payments on somebody's property or mortgage, which is called a subject to, or subject to already under financing, other financing that is on place. You can basically do lease options, note options. There's so many different opportunities to really make a lot of money and find houses at a discount, and then find houses for little to no money, take over the payments, create cash flow, create rental properties, build a portfolio. And all it takes is a little creativity and hard work and focus and guidance. That's what we're here to do today. So let's get into it. So our goal for this whole platform and to basically find these properties for little to no money, our goal is to outmaneuver our competition, get more deals by utilizing creative financing strategies that incentivize the seller of a property to participate in the transaction, allowing us to find finance and profit from income producing properties without having to go to a bank, use our personal credit, being limited to 10 deals, or stress about having big down payments. Okay, that's like the whole goal for this thing, is to figure out creative ways to obtain properties without going the traditional route. All right, so let's talk about the traditional way that we buy houses. Either we bring, wheelbarrows of cash and we buy houses outright, or we go to a bank, we ask the bank, hey, look, I would like to buy this property. I really need a loan. Do you think you can give me a loan? And most banks nowadays, and even into the future, are going to be needing crazy things. They're going to be needing you to have like 2 years with the same employer, like a 700 credit score, have to have like a certain amount of money in the bank, and then still have like a 20% down deposit to even obtain properties. So the fact that we're teaching you this is game changing for families, for people that really want to even own their own home, but don't have the means because something happened in the past with their credit, or they just are needing help and want to find a solution. And then for us as investors, we're able to obtain multiple properties by finding problems that people are having, and then providing a solution for them. There's a lot of people out there that, more than you think, that are just drowning in paying mortgages off, and they truly need help. And we're going to be able to come to them and offer them a solution. And we have amazing ways to get in front of them, getting on the phone with them, proposing, our different kind of options that we can help them out, and then finding a creative solution to basically getting houses that cash flow for us, and turning it a great profit in this business of finding real estate and obtaining it using creative financing. So with creative financing, there's really two methods, right? There's either cash to buy the house or there's terms to buy the house. And whenever we're buying a house cash, that's usually, how it can either turn into an investment property for you or for another real estate investor, and you can wholesale it to them. And whenever you're doing cash, though, you're trying to get the lowest bottom dollar possible, right? And a lot of sellers, they've been working their whole life paying this mortgage. They're not looking for, getting gutted basically and taking that low ball offer. But what you can offer them is another option where you can provide terms, right? Terms are basically just asking for seller participation. That's like the simplest way that we can really explain all the means of a subject to, or any of these options, or is basically seller participation. And so they're basically going to either become your bank, or you're going to agree on terms. All right. When I say terms, we're talking about the sales price, the number at the end of all this that they are going to make is going to be much higher than a cash offer. The down payment, how much they need to really agree to this kind of situation, the interest rate, because they're going to become, in charge of, your loan essentially on the property. Instead of having a bank, you're still going to want to give them a little bit of an interest rate. Not as much as a bank, but, make it so you can sweeten the pot. You could have no interest rate if you wanted to. The length of the loan, a lot of these sellers will, they'll want to do like a 5-year loan or a 10-year loan, and then have a balloon payment at the end where basically we pay everything off. And then at the end of the 10 years, we pay whatever's remaining amount in a lump sum to them. Or we just take over their existing loan, and we don't, have to worry about anything. We just basically see what's on their mortgage statement, and we just start paying that every month for them, and then they walk away from the house, and they just no longer have any problems with it or whatever's going on. So that's just the beginning of either buying a house with cash or terms. With creative financing, it's all about the terms. It's all about getting creative and making sure that the numbers work and everybody's happy. Now, you might be asking yourself, who are the people that are going to be doing this creative financing people? Well, the truth is there's a lot of them out there like we were talking about before, but there's really 3 types of sellers, okay? There's the seller that wants to sell, there's the seller that needs to sell, and there's the seller that has to sell. You understand? The people that have to sell, they have extreme motivation, massive financial or housing pain, willing to take a discounted price, typically the cash offer, or that type of good lead pretty much for you. The people that need to sell, moderate pain, willing to sell, but not at a big discount, stuck on price, maybe low equity, maybe behind on payments, typically a follow-up type of lead. And the people that want to sell, low motivation, wants to a full retail for the property, those are the people that can basically, you can get them to go use a real estate agent instead of making our offers. But the people that need to sell and the people that have to sell, those are the ones that have problems, have pains that we're going to be able to provide a solution for, and are going to work best for our creative financing tools because they're willing to make something work. My favorite for like subject twos and things like that would be like tired landlords, because they already kind of have an idea of how this all works. They are all about getting that mailbox money. That's going to be our pitch when we're really, like, hey, we'll take over your payments, or we'll do a seller financing if they already have a lot of equity in the property or own it all outright. And you'll be able to receive, checks in the mail from us every month. You'll be the bank instead of us going to get a loan. We'll get into that, but we're really looking for sellers that have to sell or need to sell. And we're going to create our terms and focus our energy on finding these kind of people and offering them a great solution. So the main way we're going to make this work is we're going to look for people that have problems plus solutions equals a creative financing deal. All right, so we got to basically dig into that when we're thinking in our mind about what kind of leads we're going to go after, how we're going to pitch this. We're looking for things with problems. We're going to offer our solution, and then we're going to basically be able to create a creative financing deal. And if you're in the business for real, then you're talking to a lot of sellers already. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for you because you're already having these conversations, and you're going to realize that it's almost easier to pitch creative financing than it is to get them to take a severe discount for wholesaling. Okay, so for the creative financing, we're looking for problems and solutions is going to equal a creative financing deal. Problems. Examples are going to be like loss of job, relocation, behind on payments, inherited or unwanted property, divorce, tax lien, medical issues, legal issues, house is old, ugly, flooded, fire damage, facing foreclosure, low equity, any financial distress or pain, basically. There's a lot of that out there. The solutions that we're going to be talking about and creating for you guys are going to be such things as a seller carryback, exact wraps, wraparound mortgages, all-inclusive contracts, deeds, so we can have a land contract or an agreement for a deed, lease options with multiple strategies for creating bigger profits. And those are going to be some of the strategies that we're really going to be getting into. And those are going to be the creative ones. And I know they sound complicated, but we'll make them as simple as possible so that you kind of have a good idea. It's just words on paper and mixing them up and then talking to real estate lawyers and title companies and making sure everything goes through the correct way. So step number 1 for creative strategy is marketing, lead generation. All right. So in this program, we're really going to go into how to get in front of the most motivated people with the most pain that we could maybe create a potential deal with for basically either wholesaling, creative financing, or making some money. But we're just going to focus on the creative financing one. So the ways that we can do this is we can use social networking, online marketing, SEO, offline marketing, driving for dollars, cold calling, SMS, text messaging. At the end of the day, though, it's all going to come down to either getting in front of them and explaining everything or getting on the phone and talking to people, making solutions. But step 1 is just finding the right sellers, finding the pain points, talking to these people and having conversations. So the first situation that we're really going to be looking for, or scenario, is going to be, let's say, scenario number 1. Scenario, the seller owns the house free and clear, all right, and they need to sell, but they are not motivated enough to sell at a big enough discount, okay? This is what we're going to be doing. So you can't make them basically a wholesale deal. Instead, what we're going to be doing is called seller financing. We're going to essentially be bypassing the bank and asking the seller to be the bank instead. All right. So hypothetically, let's say they owe, or the house's value is $100,000. They owe it free and clear. They're tired of the property, but they don't want to take a severe discount in cash. So what they would end up doing is we would essentially write a note and say, hey, we'll buy the house from you for $100,000, but we want to make payments and we want to arrange terms. You're going to essentially get more than, or even $120,000. You're essentially going to get more money than we could offer you if we were just going to give you a cash purchase, but it's just going to take a little while for us to get it to you. So then we're going to set it up on like a 20-year mortgage or something like that with you. You will be the bank. We will send you mailbox money every month, and you're going to get more money than you would if we just bought it outright in cash. You won't have to worry about the property anymore. And once we pay it all off, the property will go to us. And then for us, that means that we can get, a house, pay them $500 a month, rent it out for $1,000 a month and create $500 worth of cash flow. And we don't spend any money obtaining the property. We just have to maintain it, maybe fix it up a little bit, and things like that. But that's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, the seller needs to sell, right? They have an underlying mortgage on the property, but little to no leftover equity. All right. Meaning like there's not a lot of profit for them to sell the house. If they do sell the house, they would still owe money on the mortgage. So they're just kind of screwed. You can step in there, right? Basically say, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to take over your mortgage payments. We're going to take over the house. You can step away and you don't have to worry about the monthly payments anymore. And we'll do everything. We're just going to basically make the monthly payments, and we're going to come up with an agreement on terms where we pay your mortgage every month, and then at the end of the mortgage, we own the property and we get deeded at the end. This is going to be like our mortgage magic solution, essentially. And that's for scenario number 2. And that's going to be like a subject to, or you're going to create a wraparound mortgage. And it's basically just making the paperwork in your favor so that you are taking over the mortgage. This means, though, that you don't have to go get approved for a bank to get that mortgage. And it also means that basically the seller are going to be able to not have to worry about paying that every month or going in the hole. And a lot of the times this is going to be people in pre-foreclosure. Their credit's going to get screwed if they can't do it. The house is going to be taken away from them and they're never going to be able to buy a home again. Whereas what we're going to do is we're going to step in there, start taking over their mortgage payments, get them out of the hole that they're in, and essentially just own the property. And the same thing for cash flow, where we're going to figure out like the real gold for this is like if they have like a 30-year mortgage and it's a super low payment, or super low to us, but they haven't had any money, they lost their jobs or whatever, we can step in, take over the property, take over the mortgage, rent it out, create that cash flow, and really start to really make a lot of money. So that's the exciting thing for scenario number 2. The third scenario is the seller needs to sell. They have underlying mortgage on the property and a lot of equity left over. Okay, so then this is where we're either going to give them a lump sum of cash, probably less than $50,000 or whatever, to take over their monthly mortgage, or basically we're just going to have them wait it out and we'll just pay them for that amount. And then in the end, they're going to get way more money than they would if they just sold it for a loss or whatever it was. So basically, that scenario number 3 is going to be a money merger solution where we pay them cash up front and then we start taking over their mortgage. Again, we never go to the bank. We never get approved for a loan. We basically just take over the payments, but we offer them some cash up front, or we offer them a large cash sum at the end once the mortgage is paid off. And that's just another free solution to basically get a property without any of your own credit or your own money until, the payments need to be made and things like that. So as you can see, step 1 is going to be like marketing, finding the right sellers. Step 2 is implement the right creative solution so that everybody has a win-win at the end of the day. And just really this adds to anybody's business. You can obtain tons of rental properties subject to just by having this conversation with people. It has to be, from what I've found, like kind of like a blue collar, affordable homes work better, but you can do this for any type of property. It's just all about coming up with being creative, finding the right way to pitch it to the seller, which is what we're also going to go into. And then everybody walks away with a win-win. I mean, you can start getting houses right away that cash flow you hundreds of dollars a month, just by really focusing on doing these kind of creative strategies. And then basically once you've come to a win-win solution, you just got to write it up. All right, so that's going to be one of the big skills that we're going to be going into, is basically learning how to focus, and then really giving your pitch, and then mastering your paperwork and being comfortable around paperwork, and it will give you a huge advantage over your competition. All right, so that's what we're really going to get into. Each state is different, so we'll have to basically do it scenario by scenario, but it's really not that complicated. You basically are just making the paperwork say what you want it to say, and everybody wins and everybody's happy, and it's very doable. All right, if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do this. Basically, you market, you find the motivated sellers, you essentially figure out, what you're going to do for a win-win situation. You write it up, and then step number 4 is implement your income strategy. Okay, so what's really cool is you can subject to quick flips, where you just subject to, you get it at that price, and then you just sell it right away to somebody else. And it's kind of like a wholesale, but you can maybe fix it up, or you can do anything. You basically assign the creative deal to another investor and they take over or whatever. Another one that you can do is you can just fix and flip, which is freaking awesome. Imagine just doing monthly payments for a fix and flip instead of buying it outright. So you can take your money and put it into fixing it up and making it nice and then selling it without having to buy the property first and putting all that money into it in the beginning. It's amazing. The next one you can also do is a rental lease option, where you can start to create that cash flow, that monthly income, so you can build wealth for your family and for your business, where basically you're renting it out for more than what you owe on the mortgage or more than what you're paying the seller. And then the seller finance is always an option too, where you actually sell your creative deals to somebody else. So like, let's say you find a creative deal, but in order for you to make any money on it, it's going to be like $1,200 a month. And you got it subject to, you can actually find like a family or a person who's going to essentially, doesn't have the right credit, but really wants to get a property. You can ask them to pay you like $30,000 or whatever it is, $20,000 straight cash into your pocket, and then they just take over the seller financing deal. And then once the house is paid off, you own it or you sell it to them or something like that. But there's just endless opportunities, but you just got to figure out how you're going to implement your income strategy at the end of it. Now, I just want you to imagine how exciting this is going to be for you and your family and your business from all the income producing properties that you're going to be able to find by just being creative, putting in the work, doing the paperwork, and doing what we teach you. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for anybody who seriously wants to get into creative financing and make some deals work. And this is just an amazing time to be alive, to find houses and provide these kind of solutions that not very many people know. Not very many investors know how to do this kind of stuff. So we're going to go into great detail in teaching you how you can become a master of creative financing.